Hello and welcome to UK versus. Today, unfortunately, not by camera, but I am joined by Oceania Nationals Champion Zane, honorary EU member after being adopted at the first HLC of 2022. Feels like a lifetime ago. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, doing good. Just kind of still coming down from the high of winning the event after the very intense final game.
Yeah, it seemed like a very intense event. How was the event overall? This was the biggest event of the year for Oceania, which you guys kind of knew going in.
Yeah, no, it was great. Held out of Akikambara in Canberra. Nice little store. Actually getting all of the Australian players together in Australia for once has been nice.
The
Yeah,
shade, the
no.
shade of the in Australia there.
Hey, look, I just want more events for that everyone can attend reasonably easily.
Speaking of more events, Josh came down, he met you all, and then we got an announcement of a second Oceania regional. What did you do to him down there to get that second one?
I think it was mostly just actually seeing all of us in person, seeing that there is a community down here. The numbers don't always tell the truth when you look at them without some more background info. And yeah, just just hyped for more going on.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, after meeting any of you down there, it would have been, of course, a great decision to add more because you guys are amazing. It was a shame to not see people like Brandon on the list, but I imagine they've got quite a lot of stuff they need to do themselves.
Yeah. We were missing a handful of people, especially the New Zealand players like Uyung and there's a couple others from over there like Max that didn't quite manage to make it over for the Nationals, just trying to deal with the rest of their lives, really.
Yeah, when I was talking with Carl before the start of the event, I was like, "Give everyone my love." He's like, "Everyone." I went Zane, Bailey, James, Young, Max, and stuff. So I was like, "Oh, I can see Zane and I can see Bailey and stuff." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And looking at the top cuts, a lot of recurring names. Speaking of Bailey and yourself, and I know James from other events, but you all kind of playing the same deck. Where did Mimic come from, and was it a collaboration that you guys all played Mimic, or did you a lot of you just stumble into the same deck?
So I can't speak for Bailey or any of his testing. Myself and James, obviously, looking at the deck list, we're on identical deck lists. Every single card's the same. That was mostly a discovery from myself, just kind of trying to solve the answer of Bert 2 being the big boogeyman of the format, not wanting to lose to that all day. So discovered Mimic as kind of the best solution to that, in my opinion. Um, Jammed a lot of testing with it, fine tune the deck to how I like it. James, believe it or not, up until probably 10 p.m. on the Friday night, was dead set he was going to play Pony.
Oh, James
And
did tell me that he picked up the deck at midnight on Friday and was playing it and was surprised with how well it did. But I did not know that he was on Pony pre Mimic.
yeah, he was on a very aggressive version of Pony, but just kind of felt it didn't have the agency he was looking for in the game. It was a lot of just trying to high roll your way through games, and he felt like being the pretty good player he is, playing a deck with more agency would suit that more.
So let's talk a little bit more about the event itself. How was Swiss? How was it seeing everyone? How was it just getting to interact with the community after several months of not seeing all of them?
Yeah, it was awesome seeing a lot of familiar faces, but then also a lot of newer faces that I've seen around occasionally at some of the smaller locals and stuff, but seeing them coming out for the bigger events now, kind of coming out of their shell, actually trying to play these higher level events and compete with us, which is nice.
That's really good. And you had Josh, head of organized play, down with you. How was that, and how did it feel to be able to interact with the head of organized play?
Yeah, no, Josh is awesome. More than happy to answer any of our weird questions about some of the odd goings on behind UVS and how they run certain things, but also more than happy to take on any of our recommendations moving forward.
Any tea or drama you can spill that you got from the event?
We did have a very interesting experience learning that judges are not allowed to make rulings before the round timer begins.
Ooh.
Having all of our players complete their mulligans prior to the round timer, and then having players discovered that, for example, they didn't unsideboard. But they're not allowed to be given a game loss as the round timer hasn't started.
Oh, that's sneaky. I like that.
So moving forward, we're not allowed to complete any actions before the timer starts, just in case.
I wonder if that's going to get enforced at the EU one this weekend, at the NA one next weekend. 'Cause it makes sense that judges can't really interact before the round time starts, but at the same time, it does suck for your opponent if your opponent makes a mistake and you're sat there going, that should have been a game loss, but because of a technicality, it didn't happen.
Yeah, I did have a talk with Josh about it just to kind of get some of the reasoning behind it. The big reasoning is just there shouldn't be mulligans being completed before the round timer starts. There shouldn't be any game actions that can cause infractions at that point. So there isn't really a need for judges to be able to make a ruling. So,
speaking of judge rulings and interesting things that happened during the event, let's talk about Game 2 versus Ghidorah in the top 4.
yes. Yeah, that was rather unfortunate. Young Torin, previously he had 2 very close scares with forgetting to de-sideboard. So he was already very wary of judges at that point. Obviously, mulliganed, only drew 5 cards, shuffled what he mulliganed away back into his deck. But after looking at it and seeing 1 foundation, he kind of just deemed it wasn't worth the time to resolve a judge ruling to then only have 1 foundation build and probably just go ahead and lose the game anyway.
That's right. When I heard about it, I didn't realize he only had 1 foundation in his 5 cards, because I was talking with other judges, and it's very conditional. But chances are he just have to play it with the 5 cards. He wouldn't have got a game loss or anything. But
yeah, so he actually conceded by himself. There was no judge ruling even made at that point. He just kind of decided that it was better for his mental to just call it there, move on, have a good rest of his day, really, rather than get bogged down by that.
Mimic, when you started off going first with a 1 foundation hand, being on the back foot and being a game down to Mimic, that's just a rough position to be in all around.
Yeah, absolutely. It just wasn't really a position that he believed was winnable or worth the time to even try and play it out, which I definitely respect.
So let's talk about the deck. What's the heart of your deck? What does it revolve around, and how does it work?
So just a lot of check hacking to be able to pass checks that Mimic usually has the trouble passing his 4th attack check in a turn. You can only commit 1 asset. You run out of triggers pretty quickly, and you rarely have enough foundations. So kind of going all in on the City Rampage Smash and Stomp package actually lets us progress and play a long enough string to kill a lot of these healthier characters.
Makes a lot of sense. So it's about generating momentum, generating check hacks, and just stringing out without really having to use resources.
Yeah. And then on the defensive side, our momentum is just everything. Once we have momentum with vertical maneuvering equipment, we're almost untouchable.
So what drew you to a 5 difficulty kind of list as opposed to a lot of other mimics that are running the throw packages or the dangerous gambit lists that allow you to build in mid-turn?
Yeah, it's mostly that ability to try and kill Berthold 2 before he flips. Once he's flipped, he can kind of just kill us in that following turn no matter what. So having these higher damage moves that help us string longer lets us just go in, and they're all coming in for usually 10 damage each. So when he's dying to 3 attacks as opposed to 5 or 6, it becomes a lot easier to actually get in there. As well as that, a lot of our testing was showing that Izuku Midoriya on the move was kind of the bane of Mimic. We just couldn't interact with him at all, so becoming more aggressive also helps us with that matchup, try and kill him when he commits 3 and transforms, try and find that weakness and get in there.
Speaking of weaknesses, for anyone who's considering running this deck or is going to be playing against it over the next couple of weekends, how do you take down your deck? Is there any weaknesses in the list that people at the event just didn't pick up on, or that anyone exploited during Swiss?
The big one is really our turn 2. Our turn 1 build can be quite large. It's not uncommon to see 5 or 6 cards built on turn 1, but usually our turn 2 is limited to 1 or 2 more builds. So our turn 2 stage is a lot weaker than you might see from other similar go long decks.
Makes a lot of sense. So, speaking of Swiss, we know James was king of Swiss with no losses, but did end up having a tactical tie. How was your Swiss experience?
Yeah, Swiss was scary. The aforementioned Izuku Midoriya on the move, I paired into 2 different iterations of it. Being the one deck I was really afraid to pair into, but I managed to skim my way through both of those matchups, just getting a little lucky in both, able to string out and them fall in short on attacks. Other than that, my other pairings were a Mina 2, which was also quite close and terrifying. That deck still does a lot of damage very quickly. And I don't remember what my last match was. The whole day went kind of in a blur.
The later rounds are always the hardest to remember because you're more focused on, I'm getting close to topping rather than who am I facing.
Yeah, I did end up 4-0 and double IDing in the last 2 rounds just to guarantee top cut. I wasn't really going for King of Swiss or anything. I just wanted to guarantee my World's invite, and from there, whatever happened, happened.
So would you say Izuku Midoriya was your toughest matchup, or was there anyone who gave you more trouble?
I mean, arguably the mirror in the finals. But no, yeah, definitely the Izuku Midoriya decks were the scariest to fight. Just all of our interaction is enhanced spaced, and they don't like having enhanced steps.
Makes a lot of sense. So, looking forward to Worlds, you've now got your 11 players that are going to be going. Are you guys excited? Are you guys coordinating on testing and what you're going to be playing? And is Mimic going to be updated? Are we going to see some brand new spice now that Bird Boy is not legal?
So we are at 16 that are going. Well, I'm not sure if all 16 are going. I believe there are 2 that can't make it, but we do have 16 invites. And we are working together. I do imagine we are going to update Mimic a little bit. Some of the things we learned from the weekend, just touching it up a little bit. There is a lot of spice happening currently in the discussions, including a certain little rat principle.
Ooh.
And the possibility of what we can do with that.
The bear. I mean, it's a solid choice. Well, and you know from previous World experience, it's a different kettle of fish. It's a lot more control and heavy, like refined in the meta. And if you guys think you found a hole with Ezu or Mimic, go for it. You have top forward Worlds before, and it'd be great to see you do it again. Oceana has possibly one of the best track records for Worlds representation.
Yeah. Between me and Uyung having both very good runs in our respective years.
Especially when you consider how many seats you had at Worlds compared to how the other places and where you finished. Statistically, you probably have the best finishes.
Yeah. Having previously a total of 5 seats between 2 World Championships.
And now there's 16 of you coming. Well, possibly 14.
Yeah, we're gonna wreak some havoc, I think.
You guys coming down early to hit the gun range again, or are you gonna turn up on like the Wednesday, Thursday?
It currently looks like myself and James will likely be turning up on the Wednesday. The others, I'm not too sure. Everyone's got different plans. I believe KJ might be over there rather early.
You want to hit up
Yeah.
Disneyland?
I don't know if I can do Disneyland again.
You can head over to the Paramount, the Universal Studios one.
Yep, yeah. We did do that last year as well.
You
Last year
full
was
advantage of the trip.
gotta. When it's a 17-hour plane ride, you kind of gotta.
Makes perfect sense. Well, I won't keep you too long because it's quite late over where you are. Congratulations on the win. Hell of a showing. Great to see that you're kind of like the guru of Oceania. People picking up your list, people playing the list, doing really well. And I'm really excited to see what comes of Worlds and hopefully get out there myself. Is there any shout outs or plugs or any sponsors you need to chill out for?
No. Honestly, the biggest shout out is James just making it to finals with me. Finally seeing him make it to Worlds is good. He's really deserved it. He's put in the hours, even if he does occasionally write some very long Facebook posts. No, it is good to see him doing well in the game still.
He's very passionate. He's played in lots of webcam events. He stayed up very late and got up very early to play in events. And what I read from his long Facebook post was he wants to play the game. He loves the game, but he is just disappointed with the lack of support. And UBS are trying, and you guys are trying, and you're trying to get stores going over there. And you had the PAX Oceania testing that Bailey and the others did. So, but it's moving. But you guys were completely right with what you were saying of they can't keep hosting events in New Zealand. They can't keep putting that demand on you financially and time-wise to go to these events when the majority of you are mainland Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't disagree with James. I myself was looking at leaving the game.
I remember you saying that was very scary.
Yeah, following the decision to cut us back down to one regionals for the entire Oceanic region, I kind of wasn't seeing a point in continuing to play. It was just the lack of competitive events to continue, really. But seeing the work Josh wants to do and that he does want to improve our region and get us going up there competing with everyone else, it does bring a lot of happiness back to the game for me. I do want to keep playing and getting everything going.
Exactly. Josh has proven to be time and time again. He's got the passion, he's got the mindset, and he's got the community kind of drive. And now we're seeing that more from UVS themselves. We saw Paul's plans. We've seen a lot of the stuff that they're working on doing. And it feels like seeing this transparency, honest, and willingness to change their mind with the second regionals has kind of invigorated you with love of the game a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it just shows that if we do show up, if we do have, I think it was 50 odd players show up to an event with relatively short notice on a venue change, that they're happy to accept that we are still passionate about the game and we do have the player base and do deserve the major events.
Exactly. During this stream of time, it was a case of prove me wrong, and with Nationals, you proved them wrong. You proved them the play base is there, the passion is there, the players are there, and that the New Zealand regionals are outliers.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully, I'll see you at Florida, my friend. I'm really looking forward to my own Nationals, getting to meet Josh and Levi again, and hopefully having a lot of fun. I know you're trying to sell me on the merit list, so as we wind up, give me your best sales pitch.
Look, you just don't lose to Bert. I don't know what to tell you. Not losing to Bert.
That's the issue. It's Recovery Girl and Zilla in the EU.
You kill Recovery Girl so quickly, man. she doesn't get to live. 2 knots flask and she's gone. Zilla is just a dice roll, honestly. You're the same deck. You're Zilla in a very pointy, beaky mask.
See, I tried that last regionals with Dabby, where I'm Zilla, but a bit more scarred.
You get to play Zilla, but with a long game plan, and that's kind of what sold me on the deck. You don't just crumble after turn 3.
That's right, and you don't have that one-sided. You don't have that dual-sided board destruction. You have one-sided board destruction because you have assets.
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks for jumping on. I know you're hyped up still from playing, and it's quite late. I do appreciate it. Great to chat to you again. And once again, congratulations on the winning. Congratulations to all of the top 8. I will see you in a bit, my friend.
Thank you. You have a good one. Bye.
See you later. Bye.